Are you paying attention in preseason right now? Are you looking where players are playing? First line minutes, power play one. If you're not, no worries. This video will hopefully cover that. We have a bunch of players that we think are going to skyrocket up the draft board. Their value is just increasing given their play time. There's going to be guys that are on the first line, guys that are playing power play one, and a couple surprises in this video that hopefully will give you the edge in your fantasy drafts or just give you an idea of players to look for in the early set of free agency. Let's jump into the video. Andrei Svechnikov continues his descent up the fantasy ladders right now. He's currently sitting on ADP 82 over on Yahoo, but we've had a couple competitive drafts this season so far, and we've seen him go as late as round 5. This is the perfect spot to grab a guy who can easily finish as round 2 or 3 value in those 12-team leagues. He did have an injury late last season to his knee, which definitely is cause for concern. A partially torn ACL and a torn MCL, but he is back on the road to recovery, and early in camp and early in preseason, he's skating line 2, power play 1. This is almost the same thing we saw with Braden Point last season, where he was injured in that Maple Leaf series, came back, had a very strong rebound season last year, and ended up being a league winner. Andrei Svechnikov, definitely one of the favorites here at Fantasy Puck, someone that I think can win leagues. He brings an elite shot volume and a very solid hit volume. He is one of just 4 players with 10 plus shots per 60 and 7 plus hits per 60. He doesn't play 22 plus minutes, but in the 17 to 19 very good minutes that he does play, he is an extremely elite player. The sky is the limit this season with Andrei Svechnikov. He is climbing up the draft rankings very fast. If you're drafting in the next week or two, this is definitely a guy you want on your roster to potentially be a league winner and round out your fantasy team with hitting all of those categories. Another player whose draft stock continues to rise as preseason is underway is Yegor Sharangovich of the Calgary Flames. The big piece in that Tyler Toffoli trade sent him from New Jersey over to Calgary, and a change of scenery equals good opportunity, and Sharangovich has been granted that. Early looks has him on line 1, power play 1, alongside Elias Lindholm and Jonathan Huberdeau. Huberdeau is definitely a guy we're looking at to have a strong bounce back season, a point per game player for most of his career, and now add a goal scoring winger in Yegor Sharangovich. This is a recipe for a very good season. He can easily finish as a top 100 player. He's going completely undrafted right now. Calgary last season had the second best Corsi for percentage in 2022, meaning they were shooting the puck to their opponent's net at the second best rate of any team in the entire NHL, and that is what you want to look for teams who just dominate offensively, and the players around them are going to end up figuring it out and having a very strong season. I'm very all in on the Calgary Flames this season. The entire roster is on sale, and Sharangovich is a great late round pick, and he may end up as one of the best value picks in the entire draft. It's definitely someone you want to add on your watch list very early to see how he's playing, how many minutes he's playing, and the opportunity he's getting. I would say that opportunity is the biggest indicator of a breakout. Someone that's going to get line 1 minutes and power play 1 minutes is the best opportunity you can possibly get for any forward. Sharangovich is getting this. Hopefully, with Daryl Sutter out, this Calgary Flames team can continue to produce the offense that we saw a few years ago, and I want Sharangovich in all of my fantasy teams right now. Devon Levi is another guy who is skyrocketing up the draft boards, and people just really aren't drafting him right now, but with the preseason hype is real. He has been very strong in camp. A lot of people are starting to realize that Devon Levi is going to be the #1 goaltender on a very strong Buffalo Sabres team. He is one of the top goalie prospects, 2-time NCAA Collegiate Goalie of the Year, and we saw him, my fellow Canadians, in the World Juniors, and we saw how good this goaltender actually is. Buffalo as a team was extremely good last season, the 3rd most goals for in 2022. We really see no reason for them to regress offensively. They're such a strong team. And with Devon Levi, there's no competition. Eric Comrie and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen really pose as no real threat to Devon Levi, meaning Levi, we can safely project him for 50 plus starts this season, and a goalie that is currently going as goalie 15 off the board, in some drafts even later than that, is outrageous to me. Buffalo had the 7th most shots against last season, which means Devon Levi should still see a ton of volume. Hopefully Buffalo, with some of the moves they made, tighten up their defense. If Devon Levi can find a way to steal games, this Sabres offense will carry them to the playoffs, and Devon Levi could be in line for a 30+ win season, making him one of the best fantasy value goaltenders in the entire league. The hype is real. I am buying Devon Levi. It's going to be sooner or later before he starts to skyrocket up the draft boards and go in that top 100 range as a top 10 goalie. He could easily finish as a top 5 to 7 goaltender given the outlook for this coming season. Someone on one of my teams. Make sure you're not forgetting him in your drafts, and make sure you're drafting him before your fantasy league mates do. There is a lot of hype right now around Connor Brown. He had an injury last season and it kept him out for most of the offseason, but right now, early in camp, you probably already know by now, he is skating with Connor McDavid and Evander Kane on that top line. Finally, a player like Connor Brown can play with some good teammates. He struggled a lot over in Ottawa, but still managed to play around 20 minutes per night. He's healthy to start the season, and that's what we want to see. We know the outcome of Connor McDavid and the residual points that players get playing with them. He made Zach Kassian a 20-goal scorer, and I wonder what he can make Connor Brown. Connor McDavid last season had a 153 points. 82 of those points were on 5-on-5. I can't see Connor Brown getting power play minutes, but being on the ice for potentially 82 goals that McDavid will be producing is a massive value super late in drafts. He's currently being drafted in just 10% of leagues right now. In those 14+ team leagues, this is a guy you definitely want to be adding to your roster. We know Edmonton's offense. We know they score goals. Connor Brown is going to have all the opportunity in the world playing with McDavid to put up a monstrous season and crush his previous career highs. There's really no competition on that right side over in Edmonton. They like the Connor Brown McDavid chemistry. That's what we're going to see this season. He's in for a huge year, and he's starting to fly up the draft boards as people start to see those preseason lines and see him skating with Connor McDavid. We all know the hype early last season with Gabe Vilardi. I would say he was probably the most commonly commented question on some of my videos about should we add him. Now, he was a good prospect, I get it, but his shooting percentage was extremely high last season. He scored 23 goals, and it felt like a lot of them were in the first 2 months of the season, but his shot rate was extremely inflated at 18%. But a change of scenery now for Vilardi may be a good thing for him. He's currently slotted to play line 1, power play 1 over in Winnipeg. Line mates like Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele, two very, very good players who have 80+ point seasons under their belt. I'm going to take a chance at a guy who's going to get new opportunity on a new team that has really no competition on that right side to play huge minutes this season. We know that Winnipeg likes to play their top line players, and Gabe Vilardi should hopefully be a beneficiary of that. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about Nikolai Ehlers? He's still not healthy in camp. He's day to day, but he is recently skating in a non-contact jersey and should get into a preseason game. So you definitely want to be watching for that and seeing where he's going to play. But even if Gabe Vilardi gets moved down to the second line with Cole Perfetti, it does look like he still will maintain that power play 1 role on a Winnipeg Jets team who may be a little bit indifferent this season, but I still think will produce offense with some of the players they have in that top 6 core. I'm going to buy the hype here on Gabe Vilardi. I want to see a better shot rate from him, and maybe the shooting percentage come back down to earth, but he could be in line for a 25+ goal season for a player that's currently going undrafted in many drafts. Gabe Vilardi, I'm all in. Let's see what happens this season. Finally, guys, the last player, someone that was a massive sleeper last year, Seth Jarvis of the Carolina Hurricanes. A down season for him in 2022. His shooting percentage got completely cut in half to just 7.5%, and he had less points last year in 14 less games than he did in his rookie season. This is his 3rd full NHL season, and he's still slotted to be on line 1 with Sebastian Aho and power play 1 on a Carolina Hurricanes team that should be a top 5 team this season. At just 9% drafted, he is being completely forgotten about and could be a early season ad as little as the first week of the season. In those 16+ team leagues, this is definitely a guy you want to be buying the hype on. Someone that could have a massive comeback season after really not doing too much last year. I think with how good Carolina is and how much they like Seth Jarvis playing with Sebastian Aho, someone that we know is a 30+ goal scorer with 70+ points. The hype is going to be real around a guy that was a former top prospect in that Carolina Hurricanes system. His 3rd year coming off the last season of his entry-level contract. He's going to be looking to bounce back this season and end up as a top 100 player. Now that is my 6 players that I think are skyrocketing up the draft boards right now. Things are definitely subject to change, and we're going to be here to update you when they do. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching the video, guys. Make sure you leave a like on your way out and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We have so much content that we're going to be pumping out over the next little bit, so look forward to that. Thank you guys, and take care.